Shorter winters, longer and more intense heat waves, bigger rainstorms, and rising sea levels. Climate change isn't something that's coming, it's something that's already here.
We kept hearing about how climate change was affecting the world in parts of Connecticut, but we wondered how it was affecting northwestern Connecticut, and more specifically, our tiny town of Cornwall.
So, we spoke with local advocates about climate change in our community.
Growing up on an organic farm where our house is solar powered, I spent the majority of my childhood outside running around with my siblings, and I think just being in this area where you're surrounded by so much nature, it gives you an appreciation. I was actually interested in doing something like anthropology or biology, and so the interesting thing about environmental studies is that I have learned about climate change, about environmental justice.
I have a company, Litchfield Hills Solar. We have over 300 installs, all in Litchfield County. I'd say mostly residential, but some small commercial and some farms. With climate change, I'm worried that people aren't going to consistently take it seriously enough. It seems like when there's not a lot of other news going on, then people talk about it. And if something else comes on the forefront, then climate change always gets kicked back to the bottom of the barrel.
Housatonic Valley Association's sole purpose is to improve and protect the natural environment of the entire Housatonic River watershed. We're doing a lot of work around heavy rain and the pollution that it washes into rivers and streams from everything from, the pesticides and fertilizers you put on your lawn to stuff washing off of roads and roofs. All of that is adding up. And climate change for us is having a warming and a wetter effect on our climate. So that means that we're getting bigger storms, and in between those big storms, we're seeing longer periods of drought.
I am a farmer. I've been farming for about 35 years. We grow a variety of things from greens, leafy crops, lettuces, salad makings. One of our main crops is tomato. The climate generally has gotten warmer and the weather's become more extreme. So you see things like the maple sap production, because the trees are not freezing as hard, isn't as strong as it was 40 years ago.
On May 19th, 2021, the Lakeville Journal reported that in some areas in Cornwall and surrounding locations, the adult tick population has increased by up to 66%.
I've had Lyme disease multiple times, and it has personally affected me a decent amount. I think that's going to continue to be a big health crisis in this area. Obviously, counting every single tick in the Northeast is hard, but increased heat in milder winters has shown that more ticks are surviving throughout the winter, and therefore the population has increased.
If we have more floods and hurricanes, that will be a huge expense to the town, because we'll have to fix our roads and bridges. So the taxes will have to go up.
The economic cost of doing nothing about climate change outweighs the cost of doing something. My big concern is that we are not going to do enough on a national and global scale. Even if we created, like my last painting, put up a bunch of windmills, everything is solarized, climate change is still going to affect us.
As a nation and as a global population, we need to find ways to make energy choices and carbon choices easier for everyday people who may not have a lot of money.
With COVID, actually having people work from home and realizing that they don't need to commute somewhere has been very helpful. People aren't buying as much gasoline, driving as much. The pollution's way down in a lot of parts of the country and globe. People see that there's impacts to what they're doing, and it's working.
We can all affect the outcome of COVID, and we can all affect the outcome of climate change by what we individually do. People feel somehow powerless, but people are not powerless. There's been huge change in this country in the last year or two, and a lot of that's been done and figured out by young people. I think that's the message. The world will be in trouble when young people and older people stop paying attention to what's really going on.
I think when people get down to it, they can make drastic changes really quickly. Just if you think about last year and COVID, and the whole global population changed on a number of levels overnight. And I think that can happen even quicker if it needed to. I think that's a realistic goal. It's your generation that's really going to make the difference.
So many more people are working together to solve this problem. I do have hope for the future that I don't think I had 4 or 5 years ago. I have a granddaughter now. She's 3 years old. I want her to swim in a cold lake. I want her to be able to catch a frog. I want her to enjoy the birds and the wildlife that I grew up with. I know she's not going to have the vast majority that I've had, but I want her to have as much of it as possible.
Climate change is affecting Northwest Connecticut right now. It's here. What are you going to do about it?